Welcome to Ageless with Adrianne. I'm Adrianne Caparuso. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different with you than I've ever done before. I'm going to bake with you today. I have all my ingredients out here and we're going to talk about the ingredients. I want to talk to you first about why we're baking versus me giving you exercise tips or information on balance or cognition. What you put into your body, how you fuel your body will determine your output. It will determine how hard you can go throughout your day. It will determine what a workout looks like for you. It will determine whether or not you get out of bed. The food that you put into your body is what nourishes you and gives you what you need. So oftentimes when people will say to me, I feel sluggish, I feel this, I'm like, well, let's look at your diet. Let's look at what you're eating first. And so we often do some nutrition breakdowns so that we can see, the client and I can see what they're eating that may be contributing to how they're feeling. Food is a huge tell for how you're feeling. Look at what you're eating. So for my family, I tend to cook very healthy. Today, I'm gonna bake healthy. My kids love baked goods. And so while I'm trying to watch the sugar intake, because we know kids love sugar, but don't all people love sugar? So while I'm watching their sugar intake, I also want them to really enjoy what they're eating so that it tastes good so they don't feel deprived. So today I'm gonna make a healthy almond flour pumpkin bread. I did not create this recipe. It's from Ambitious Kitchen. If you want to look up ambitiouskitchen.com, they're amazing. The website is amazing, I should say. They have a ton of wonderful, healthy recipes. So today we're going to do the healthy almond flour pumpkin bread. I have my recipe here. My oven is already preheated to 350. And I'm going to follow the recipe here and I'm going to go through it with you and I'm going to talk about the ingredients as we go through, okay? So the first thing that we're going to put into the bowl is pumpkin puree. Organic pumpkin. So pumpkin, I know we're in the season now, Thanksgiving just happened, and we tend to move away to pumpkin and towards peppermint for the holidays. Pumpkin I try to keep in stock all year round in my pantry because it's very nutrient dense. It has amazing nutrients that will nourish your body. So that's the first thing we're gonna put in. So we're gonna put in 1 cup, I've already pre-measured, 1 cup of pumpkin puree. I'm gonna put that in my bowl. And then we're going to do 3 eggs, so I'm just going to crack them and stick them in. The eggs are free-range eggs, meaning that the chickens are capable of roaming freely. They're not kept in cages. Why is this important? Because it determines the kind of egg that they will produce, meaning that when you see a bright yellow yolk, I don't know if you can see these yolks without me tipping it. The yolks are really bright orange yellow. That indicates not yellow, orange I should say, more than yellow. That indicates a healthier, happier chicken. I know that might sound silly, but it's the reality of the situation. When they're happy and healthier, I guess the best way to say it is they're stress-free. They produce more of an orange yolk. Okay, so the next thing after the 3 eggs, let me just get my measure here, is a 1/3 cup of maple syrup. Now, this is organic maple syrup. Again, because organic is important because it's like less pesticides, it's naturally derived, it's the way it's produced is with care more so than anything that's just done, like I said, with pesticides and it's just a better quality. Maple syrup versus sugar, because maple syrup is lower on the glycemic index, meaning your body's gonna process it a little bit differently than like a white sugar. So maple syrup and honey are 2 really great ways to sweeten things without putting straight sugar. So I'm gonna dump this in. And then after that, I'm gonna put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Again, I try with all of my ingredients, I try as hard as possible to do the organic. So we're gonna put 2 teaspoons of vanilla in, and I will have all these ingredients listed in the comments. So if you're watching this and you're like, wait, you're going too fast, don't worry, everything will be in the comments. And so I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna mix this all together. I'm just going to take my wooden spoon, and actually what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna grab my whisk. My whisk is sitting right here. So I'm gonna grab that out and I'm gonna whisk all this together. This is to make sure that the eggs really get mixed in well. And I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how much I can tip this, but it's mixed together really nicely with the whisk. And after that, I'm gonna start to add my dry ingredients to the same bowl, okay? So for the dry ingredients, we're gonna do 2.5 cups of almond flour. So almond flour versus regular flour, a little bit more protein. And for people who have gluten issues, this is a great alternative. In my family, we try to cook gluten-free and bake gluten-free because I have gluten sensitivities. I do not have celiacs, my children do not have celiacs, but we all have sensitivities. We respond better to almond flour. And again, it has a little bit more protein. So this bread is a gluten-free, dairy-free bread. If you're interested in or have any kind of issues with gluten or dairy, like I said, I have specific issues with both. I try not to eat dairy and I try not to eat gluten. So we've got some, let me just try and get this out here. We're doing 2.5 cups, so there's about 1. And I know with baking, I grew up with a baker. I know how precise you need to be, and I'm being a little bit less precise, but it'll still turn out okay. So we're gonna do 2.5 cups, so that's the first cup I just put in. Here comes the second. Oop. I'm gonna put the second one in, and then I'm going to put in my third cup, which I think is gonna finish off my bag. It is, so I'm just gonna dump this and I'm gonna finish off my bag here, because there's just a little bit in the bottom of it. So let me just talk about the almond flour. This is the Bob's Red Mill. If you're not familiar with Bob's Red Mill, the quality of ingredients is excellent. So this is a good way to get some for your almond flour. And they also make other things too, like baking soda. My baking soda is Bob's Red Mill, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So we've got 2.5 cups of almond flour in here. And then we're gonna do 1/2 cup of oat flour. So let me talk to you about my oat flour. I didn't buy oat flour, I did not have oat flour, but what I do have are oats. So all I did was put my oats in a bit of a blender. I blended them and I made them into a fine flour, which I have here. I just marked the date that I made it so I don't keep it beyond like an expiration. You wouldn't want it to expire. So I'm gonna put in 1/2 cup of oat flour. Carefully, hold on, let me find a better way to do this. Makes more sense to do it this way. And I would tell my kids not to hold it over the bowl to measure because then if you spill it in and it's too much or whatnot, then it's a problem. There's about 1/2 cup that we're gonna put in there. So let me just dump that. Whoops. Okay. After that, we're gonna use some cinnamon. It calls for 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I have my cinnamon here. Again, I try for organic as much as possible. And again, I'm measuring over the bowl, which I tell my kids not to do. There's 1. And there's 2. So 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. I don't have my 1/2 teaspoon out, so just give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab it out of the drawer over here. 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg I have out here ready to go. And all of these spices are really, really good for your body too. They all have benefits that will help you, like properties that will help your body. And then allspice, 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. Let me just stick that in there. And then, so I was talking to you about Bob's Red Mill earlier. Here's my Bob's Red Mill baking soda. So a teaspoon of Bob's Red Mill here. Put that in. And what's next? 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So let me get that out. Okay, so I've got all the dry ingredients in. The one ingredient I don't have in yet is my chocolate chips. I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. But in the meantime, I'm going to take my spoon and I'm just going to start to fold it all together and mix it all together. Now, if you have a hand mixer or if you want to do this in a KitchenAid mixer, you can totally do that. Both of mine are put away, and I know with these ingredients I can just stir everything together and it's going to turn out okay versus me needing to get a hand mixer or my KitchenAid mixer out. I know I can do this just with some good old muscle, right? And I'm gonna mix this all together My son's gonna be very excited about this because he asked me yesterday if I baked anything for him, and I had not baked yesterday. I did a number of other things, but I did not bake. Okay, so this is my batter, okay? It looks really good, actually. It's really, really nice. So that's my batter. And then it does call for half a cup of chocolate chips. So I want to talk to you about chocolate chips. So these, and I probably don't even have half a cup here because I'm almost out. But these are Lily's chocolate chips. I know Whole Foods, so you'll see here it says no sugar added, right? And I know Whole Foods has a brand that is no sugar added also. They're sweetened with stevia. And stevia is, again, something more naturally derived and lower on the glycemic index than sugar, and it gives your body a better response than if you're having sugar. It does not give you that like super high from a sugar rush and then the crash. And so we always want to keep our bodies at that like homeostasis level where we're not super high on sugar or anything for that matter, where we would then come crashing down. So it calls for about half a cup of chocolate chips. I don't know if I have half a cup. I need to get another bag. There's still some in there, but I feel them at the bottom. You know what? They were sitting on top of the oven. I think they're actually melted in there, so I'm gonna just cut the bag right open. I think they're stuck to the bottom of the bag. I'm gonna cut my Lily's bag right open. Yep, they're in there. And I'm gonna plop them right in. Yeah, they started to get warm on the stove top because the oven is on. And I'm gonna pull them out with my spatula, but they're still in one piece, so they'll still get in there and they'll get mixed in pretty nicely. And then I'm gonna dump these in. And I'm just going to slowly fold them in together so that you can start to see that they're mixing in pretty nicely. All right, so like I said, the oven is already preheated to 350. I got my chips folded in, and I now have my parchment paper lined loaf pan, okay? So I have not sprayed it yet. When I spray, I use avocado oil spray. Again, so avocado oil versus olive oil. Avocado oil can handle a higher heat temperature than let me say that again. Avocado oil can handle a higher heat temperature than olive oil. Olive oil is great for salads and cool things or like low heat settings, but this is going in at 350, so I'm gonna use my avocado oil spray. And I'm just gonna spray my parchment on all sides. And close that up, and then I'm going to dump this in here. I'm going to actually, let me move this off to the side. I'm going to spoon it in a little bit at a time first, and then I'll spatula the rest of it out. So one of the reasons this is a little bit better for you, again, I spoke about this like whole wheat flour, white flour, I guess whole wheat versus white, but flour in general, almond flour is a healthier flour. Of course, if you have an almond allergy, you wouldn't use it, but you can find almond flour, you can order it off of Amazon, you can find it at pretty much any grocery store. Again, please, when you do this stuff, do some research on the quality of ingredients. The reason I say that is because a lot of things, when they're not done organically, you don't have to be all organic. I'm not promoting that that's the only way to eat. We try to eat as organically as possible, as much as possible, because we just feel better. We notice a difference, and it's all in how it's produced. It's all about how the pesticides are used on so many things, and sometimes I don't know. It's just the better way, and it's more sustainable for your health and for our lives. It's just the more sustainable way for us. So I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to just gather it all up and take the last little bit of it in here. It smells really good, and I haven't even put it in the oven to bake it yet. But it looks great. And if I had extra chocolate chips, I didn't get out to the store yesterday like I had wanted to. But if I had extra chocolate chips, I would of course put them on top just for decorative purposes. But again, I will put a link to this recipe in the comments. But this is going to be our healthy pumpkin almond flour bread. I'm not going to tip it too much because then it will all fall out. And I'm going to put it in the oven, and I'm going to bake it for how long am I going to bake it? Let me see here. 55 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to bake it, then I'll check it, and then I will show you what it looks like all finished, and I will likely have a piece and share that with you. Okay, so about an hour has passed, and I wanted to show you, it's still hot, so I'm not going to pull it out because I want to let it cool first, but I want to show you how pretty this bread is. It's gorgeous. Let me hold it up here for you and not drop it. Look how pretty. It's gonna be delicious. I'm super excited. My son's gonna be excited. And it's, you know, again, it's on the healthier side of things when it comes to a baked good or a snack that you want to have. This has really great ingredients in it with the almond flour, and also like there's not a lot of sugar. There's the maple syrup, that a third of a cup of maple syrup spread throughout the entire loaf. So it's not like this huge amount of maple syrup, but it's still going to have that nice, I would say quote unquote sweetness, if you will. It's going to be delicious. So there you have it, healthy almond flour pumpkin bread that you could try to make. And again, that pumpkin is super, super nutrient dense, and it has really good qualities, like food qualities, to give your body what it needs. So there you go. It looks delicious. I'm very, very excited. Yum. I hope you enjoy it.